Hey everybody, it's Chris, and today I'm talking about the Cure Wounds spell. Now, the reason I wanted to do a dedicated video on Cure Wounds is because I've been playing 5.5 edition a lot ever since the Player's Handbook came out. I tend to play anywhere between 2 and 4 times a week, so that is a lot of play, and I've seen Cure Wounds cast a lot during that time. And to this day, I still play with players who probably play a lot less than I do, who they see Cure Wounds cast with a 3rd level slot or a 4th level slot, and they are shocked at the amount that it heals. So what I want to do in today's video is talk a little bit about why they are shocked, how this changes the game, and I want to just show you some numbers about what kind of healing you can expect from this spell. So here's the old Cure Wounds spell. And now this was considered a so-so spell in 5th edition. Not a terrible spell, but so-so. Because it healed a fairly low amount versus spells that you might cast that prevent damage. Also, it did not upcast at a rate that made it worth higher level spell slots. The action cost of casting it was also inefficient because damage occurs faster than healing. So, a monster takes its action and it delivers 40 hit points of damage, and you use your action and a valuable resource to heal 20 hit points of damage. You can see where that is going to end up. Scaling just wasn't that strong with the D8 per spell slot level. And when we compared it to Healing Word, which was a much more popular spell, assuming we're casting them at level 1, there wasn't that much of a difference in how much they healed. I mean, we could usually expect about 11 points of healing from a Cure Wounds and 8 points of healing from a Healing Word, and Healing Word was a bonus action. And, very importantly, Healing Word can be cast at a distance. Cure Wounds is a touch spell. Now, both these spells got improved in 5.5, doubling the amount of dice that are rolled for healing, including when we upcast them. So that's the important thing that I'm going to be focusing on a lot in this video, is adding 2d8 per spell slot level. Now, bonus actions also in 5.5. If you haven't played 5.5, when you make a character, I can almost guarantee you're going to have several uses for your bonus action. So being able to do something as a bonus action versus an action isn't such a huge deal anymore. In 5th edition, especially when the rules first came out, often characters didn't have bonus actions. So if you could take a bonus action spell, it was like a free action. That's not the case anymore. And when you add extra dice, if those dice are different, that increases the gap. So the gap between Healing Word and Cure Wounds increases at level 1, and the gap only gets bigger as we increase spell level. And now I find if you expend those big resources, like the big spell slots, you absolutely can heal damage faster than it occurs. That's maybe not sustainable, but in the short term, you can absolutely do that. Furthermore, there are ways we can improve Cure Wounds beyond just the base ability. We can take the Healer Origin feat, and the Healer Origin feat now allows you to reroll 1s whenever you cast a heal spell. So if we cast a Cure Wounds spell and we have a whole bunch of D8s, which we never would have had before, there's a good chance that we could roll a 1 or maybe even multiple 1s and reroll them, and that really improves the amount that they heal. Never mind that the Healer feat gives us an additional benefit of using Healer's Kits. That's off topic, so we're not going to get into that. If you are playing a Life Domain Cleric, once you get to level 3 and you select Life Domain, you can add 2 additional healing per spell slot level, and that's gained at level 3. So if we cast it at level 1, we get an additional 2 points. If we cast it at level 2, we get an additional 4 points, etc. If we continue with Life Domain Cleric and we get to very high level, well, at level 17, we now get the maximum amount. So if we roll 12d8, we get 8s on all 12 of them. And that is really dramatic. I'm going to show you later in this video how dramatic that is. Then there's the Circle of the Stars Druid. Now, the Circle of the Stars Druid at level 3, if they select the Chalice form when they use their Starry form, they can heal an additional d8 plus their Wisdom modifier to the creature they're healing or to a different creature. And when they get to level 10, we'll get another D8 on that. Then there's the Beastmaster Ranger. They get the ability to share their healing if they cast Cure Wounds on themselves. When they're level 15, their Primal Companion can also benefit from that healing. If we're an Alchemist Artificer, once we get to level 5, we can add our Intelligence modifier to our Cure Wounds spells. If we are a Grave Domain Cleric and we're casting Cure Wounds on a character that has 0 hit points, then we get the maximum amount. That's gained at level 3. There's the Circle of Wildfire Druid. Once they get to level 6, they can add a D8 as long as their Wildfire Spirit is summoned. And then there is the Divine Soul Sorcerer, and they can expand 1 sorcery point to reroll any number of dice. This is gained at level 6. This is better than it used to be. I used to really not like this feature because we tended not to upcast Cure Wounds because it wasn't a good spell for upcasting. And even if we did upcast it, there wasn't all that many dice. But now there's a whole bunch of dice we're casting if we upcast Cure Wounds. So 1 sorcery point to reroll any number of those dice is actually fairly potent now. So if we wanted to make a build that just really did good Cure Wounds, but maybe just wasn't all healing, it's not that hard. You would take the Healer Origin feat and then start with a good Wisdom. And the Healer Origin feat, I should just let you know, the way the math works is normally with a D8, you're rolling an average of 4.5. But if you can reroll ones, that average changes to 4.9. Then we would go Life Domain Cleric, and we'd take that to level 5, and now we have Spirit Guardians, and we're decent in combat. And we're going to be adding 2 per spell slot level to our Cure Wounds. Then we could multiclass to Stars Druid. One nice thing about Cleric is that when we multiclass, as long as we already have Spirit Guardians, if our spell slots continue to increase, we can just upcast Spirit Guardians, and we're doing well. So it's not that hard a multiclass to go into Circle of Stars Druid, pick up the Chalice form, and now we can add a D8 plus our Wisdom to those Cure Wounds spells. And so what you would do with a character like this is on round 1, you'd probably cast Spirit Guardians, maybe your top level spell, your 5th level spell slot, and then use your bonus action to use the Starry form with the Chalice form. And then you have something to do in combat. And often on round 1, you don't need to heal. So you can run around with your Spirit Guardians and do damage to enemies. And on round 2 and later, you can still run around and do damage to enemies with Spirit Guardians, and you still have your action free that you could use to cast Cure Wounds. And let's say there was a character that was really down on hit points. Well, if we used our 4th level spell slot, we are adding 8d8 plus Wisdom healing from the base spell, again with a 4.9 average on those d8s. Add a d8 plus Wisdom from our Stars Druid. Add another 8 from being a Life Cleric, and we'd be doing 9d8, average 4.9, plus 18. That's 62 hit points of healing with that 4th level spell slot. So now let's say we had a Cleric that wasn't a specialized healer. They're just a 9th level Cleric, and they're going to cast Cure Wounds at 4th level. Well, for them, it'd be 8d8 plus 5 for their Wisdom, and that would be 41 points of healing. Now that's a fair bit less than 62, 21 points less. Still, 41 at 9th level is a lot of healing. Now, personally, what I often do with characters these days is if I'm playing, say, a wizard, in fact, this is happening in a current campaign I'm in, I'm a 12th level character, and I am a 11th level wizard, 1 level ranger. So I took Cure Wounds with Ranger. I mean, I could change it out because Ranger can change their spells now, but I keep Cure Wounds all the time. And if I cast a 4th level spell to cast Cure Wounds, well, then it's 8d8 plus 1 because I only have a 13 Wisdom. That is still 37 hit points. Now, for a 9th level character, I'd expect an average of about 66 hit points. So the healing specialist could take them, right from next to down to full hit points. But even a regular cleric, you're going to bring them well over half hit points. Even a non-cleric who's just dipped cleric or some other class to get Cure Wounds, they're still healing well over half that average 9th level character's hit points. So You got a character that's most of the way down, and you bring them to almost all the way up. And let's go back to our dedicated healer for a bit. If we're to compare the heal spell cast by them at level 6, well, the heal spell would heal 70 hit points. We'd add an additional 10 from Star's Druid, assuming we have Chalice form active. An additional 2 per spell level from Life Cleric would be another 12. So the heal spell would heal 92 hit points. But if we cast Cure Wounds with our 6th level spell slot, it's 12d8 with a 4.9 average, plus 5 is 64, plus Star's Druid, 10, plus 2 per spell level from Life Cleric is 12. That's 86. These numbers are very, very close. Now, heal has the additional benefit of being able to cast at range, and I don't want to pretend that's not relevant, but if I wanted to save a preparation slot, because my preparation slots maybe are very tight, I think I could live without the heal spell, because if I cast Cure Wounds with an equivalent level spell slot, I'm healing almost as much. Plus, I have the option with Cure Wounds of casting with a 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st level spell slot, and I don't have that option with the heal spell. By the way, a non-healing specialist using a 6th level spell slot could expect 55 points of healing. Again, I mean, that's significantly below what a heal spell would heal, of 70, but it's not that dramatic. If we, again, were to multi-class and maybe we don't have access to the heal spell, we can do almost as dramatic healing with a 6th level slot just by upcasting Cure Wounds. So I want to talk a little bit about how we can expect the Cure Wounds spell to scale side by side with our hit point scaling. So I'm going to talk about the Cure Wounds spell not including the modifier. So we have our base ability score as a modifier to the amount, but if we just look at the dice alone, level 1, that's 9 points of healing from the dice on average. How much hit points does an average first level character have? I figured about 10. Obviously, some are higher, but some are lower. That's why it's an average. So a level 1 Cure Wounds spell with no modifier whatsoever heals 90% of that number of hit points. If we do have a modifier, probably 100%. So we could take somebody from 0 to maximum. At level 2, we're healing 18 without a modifier. How many hit points does an average 3rd level character have? About 24. That heals still 75% of their maximum hit points. Level 3 spell is 27. Average 5th level character, 38 hit points. That's 71%. Level 4, 36 versus an average 7th level character of 52. That's 69%. And at this point, I'm wondering, are we ever going to get below 50% here? Well, level 5, we have 45 versus an average 9th level character, 66 hit points. That's 68%. Level 6, 54 versus an average 11th level character's hit points of 80. That's 68% as well. Level 7, 63 versus an average 13th level character of 94 hit points. That's 67%. Level 8, 72 versus an average 15th level character's hit points of 108. That's 67%. And level 9, 81. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying you should expand your 9th level spell slots on Cure Wounds, especially if you have 9th level spells available. But nevertheless, I figured you've got to be completionist here. It'd be 81. Average 17th level character's hit points is 122. That's 66%. And again, all these numbers, no ability score modifier has been added yet. We never get below, if we're expending our maximum level spell slot, and we are a full caster, and we would expect to heal about 66% or more, even without considering an ability score modifier. We're definitely healing over half that character's hit points, and a fair bit more than half. And even when we upcast it, you'll notice that the percentages here do not go down all that significantly between levels 2 and level 9. Now, I should, for context, talk about Healing Word. So Healing Word with no enhancements, here they are. Basically, we go up at 5 per level. This is still a lot better than it was for upcasting. So I'm not going to advocate here that you shouldn't upcast Healing Word, but look at the difference. The difference is pretty stellar with the base amounts that you roll with these two spells. Again, the ability modifier has not been added here. So if you put the ability modifier in, the percentage difference between them does reduce, but the gap doesn't change. Now let's say we were to play a Life Cleric and get all the way to level 17. And obviously we're going to have a 20 Wisdom at this point. And of course we're going to have Cure Wounds prepared. So how much does Cure Wounds heal when we're a 17th level Life Cleric? But with the first level spell slot, it's 23 points. With the second level spell slot, 41 points. Level 3, 59 points. Level 4, 75 points. Level 5, 95 points. Level 6, 113 points. Should note that if we cast Heal as a Life Cleric with a level 6 slot, it would heal 92 hit points. So we're healing an additional 31 hit points by casting Cure Wounds instead with that 6th level slot. Again, we have to touch instead of casting at a distance, so that might be a factor. But if I am looking at saving a preparation slot with my 17th level Cleric, it is tempting to go without heal when Cure Wounds is healing so much more with the same spell level, and we have these really potent options if we cast it with a lower spell slot level. Then level 7, 131, heal spell would heal 94. Level 8, 149, heal spell would heal 106. Level 9, 167. Again, I'm not advocating casting Cure Wounds with your 9th level spell slot if 9th level spells are available. And if you are a 17th level Life Cleric, they are, and you could get Mass Heal, that would heal 518 hit points with that same 9th level slot. So obviously, you can see there just how dramatic 9th level spells are. So I just wanted to discuss a little bit how this has changed the game. First, if you have Cure Wounds and you are a spellcaster, it is often more effective to heal damage than to cast spells to try to prevent it. Not always. Often spells that prevent it can prevent all damage. It depends, but sometimes it is. And the tried and true strategy that we got so used to in 5th edition of waiting till a character drops down to 0 hit points before healing them in combat is no longer as optimal. You can heal a character who is down below half hit points up to full hit points pretty reliably, and you may not even require your highest level slots. There was a drought of healing in the 5th edition rules between levels 1 and level 13, as healing spells did not scale at the rate they needed to, and there were no intermediate single target healing spells. But Cure Wounds now has upcasting to fill that without requiring additional spell preparations. It may be the only healing spell you need until Mass Heal comes available. In fact, if you are in a party where Mass Heal is not going to become available, it might be the only healing spell you need, even if you aren't a Cleric, even if your ability score modifier is only a +1. So that is what you can expect out of the Cure Wounds spell. It is so much better, and it really does change how healing works in this game. So I hope you found that informative, and I ran a poll to see which subclasses I should look at next, and Paladin has won. So I'm going to be looking at the Paladin subclasses in my upcoming videos, and until that time, I am going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.